now. Give everyone a chance to accept if they need to. All
Mine
right.
didn't mine didn't say to accept it, just said it asked me if I wanted to leave. I could have done that.
We are a co-host, so you've got a different situation. All right. Good morning. Welcome to the third quarterly webinar from Colorcasters. I'm Jim Raffle.
And I'm Shelby Sapusik, where it's actually the afternoon here.
Oh yeah, it's morning here. Let me fire up the slides. This is probably a good place to start those. And then I lose my ability to share because it hid. Hold on. I guess I have to share before I do that. And I think we decided we were going to share over here. We tested some of this. It means it won't work. All right. And so you should be seeing
Seeing a
us.
sunset.
It's a sunrise.
Okay,
And now you should see slide one.
there you go. You're good.
All right. Yeah, I suppose we don't need video while we're talking, do we? I'll turn mine off too. All right. So this is the spot color management webinar. Again, it's the third in our series. We started, I think, in the fourth quarter of 23, and we did one on color verification, mobile apps. And then in the first quarter, we did one on using, I think that's right? Yeah, TrueHue monitor verification. And we're going to dig into spot color management using both mobile apps and actual software applications on your machine, your computer, Mac or PC. And we're going to focus on the NICS portable instruments again today. We just feel like that's a great starting point for people who are not doing any color measurement yet. So, whoop, that didn't work. Let's try it again. All right, quick introductions. Again, I'm Jim Raffle, joined by Shelby. I'll let her introduce herself in a moment. We, as Colorcasters, we are color management consultants and trainers. We do quite a bit of training. We also do on-site consulting. As far as the training, we're going to talk a little bit about that at the end, some opportunities we've got coming up, and we'll show you how to find those on our website. You can also find us at trade shows speaking for quote unquote free. And sometimes you have to, it's a ticketed thing, so you do have to, through the trade show or convention, you have to sign up and pay for that, but we'll be doing that at Printing United. There are several opportunities there as I understand it at the moment, and I think there's going to be, it's not confirmed yet, but there should be a free opportunity there as well. I've been doing this for a long time, since the 80s. I've been in color and printing, and started in conventional printing, web offset publication, moved into digital inkjet around the late 90s, early 2000s as Epson was moving into the proofing space, and have been in wide and grand format production, industrial print pretty consistently for almost a decade now. That's where I've been focused with Colorcasters. So Shelby, you want to do a quick introduction?
Sure. I'm Shelby Sapusik, as Jim said, and I've been working with Jim in some form or another for 13 years, I think now. We formed Colorcasters about 7 years ago because we saw a need in the industry for more education and training. So while we do have a software component of the company, we are more on the consulting and training side now. And I grew up in the newspaper industry before that, but I was in graphic design and was responsible for the color for news on newsprint, and which is a lot harder than some of the materials that we do in real world wide format industry these days.
All right. Okay. So this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to do an overview of some spot color. I was going to drop some slides in here, and I didn't, so I'm going to do it a little bit different way. What I originally thought I was going to do, I decided I didn't like. So what I'm going to do is incorporate what I was going to do into the demonstrations we're doing, and have less slides and more demos. That was really my objective. So pretty much after this slide, I'm going to do a quick demonstration, or actually we have a few slides describing the NICS instruments. Then I'm going to physically change cameras, and you're not going to see much of me. Well, you'll see my hands. I guess I'm going to be like a hand model for the whole show. But we actually have a document camera pointing at a table with instruments and things to measure. And when we're using the applications on my phone, you're going to actually see my phone right next to it. So I think it's going to be a good demonstration. So let's talk a little bit about the Nix instruments. Then I'll show you the Nix toolkit app. That's the cool thing about that app is it's free, quote unquote. It's included at no additional cost. No matter who you buy a Nix from, you're going to have access to the Nix toolkit. We're going to show you the Nix Print Pro software. That is not free. But if you think it's interesting, you can talk to us and we can help get you set up with a license. SpeckCheck mobile app, which does run on iOS only. That's our app. It is $99, but if you buy a Nix device from us, it is well, it's not technically included. We give you a promo code for one license only. So if you like it and you want to have multiple people in the shop be able to use it, you can buy additional licenses. But the first license we include with the purchase of an instrument from us, or you could just buy more instruments from us and get more versions. Another app called Seeing Color, which is out there. I think Chris is selling it for $5 or $6. It's a great value. Hopefully it'll run. That was the one I ran out of time to test this morning. So hopefully it's not going to disappoint me. Talk about the future training opportunities like I discussed, and then where you can buy your Nix devices from us. So Nix has a variety of instruments. They have everything from the Mini 2 and 3. Those are relatively inexpensive instruments. You can get a Mini 2, which is technically discontinued. I think we're selling them today for $67 on our website. We are running out. So, and when we're done, we're done. And I think we're down to less than 25 of them. The Mini 3 replaces that and is around $100. Maybe a little more, 109, I think is the list price on it. That instrument's technically a colorimeter. We're not going to get too much into the differences between spectrophotometers and colorimeters today, but I do have one slide that should hopefully explain that to us just a little bit. Yeah, it's the next slide. And then there's the Spectro L and the Spectro 2. So let me explain the differences between these instruments. You're going to see, you'll see a Mini 2 today. I'm not going to use it, but in general, the Mini 2 and 3 are, as I mentioned, they're colorimeters. And that means that they only measure in 3 channels. So you can see up at the top, they measure in red, green, and blue. So that's it. The Spectral L measures 9 different channels across the entire visual spectrum. I'm going to let this person in our meeting. There we go. The Spectral L measures across 9 different places in the visual spectrum. It actually upsamples that then to 32, but the actual physical measurements occur at 9 places in the visual spectrum, making it a spectrophotometer. The Spectro 2 is just a more advanced spectrophotometer measuring, I believe it's in 32 channels across the visual spectrum. And so you can see the differences there displayed visually. There we go. This goes through some of the differences in size, who the instruments are really meant for. And in general, the Mini 2, Mini 3, I'm not going to say it's not meant for our industry, but unless you're just doing simple color comparisons, like you're going to measure your client sample and compare it to what you're printing. So it's an A-B comparison and you have both A and B in front of you. I find that it's probably not the right instrument for our industry, but it is a great instrument if you don't own an instrument and you just want to start taking measurements and learning how things work. The Spectral L is a great instrument for our industry at $479. It's got everything and then some, and will pretty much do everything you need it to do. And then the Nix Spectro 2 is, I think that pricing is actually wrong. It's gone up. This is an out-of-date sheet. It's $1,200 now, and that is the full-blown spectrophotometer. All right, let's jump into the next Nix toolkit. Let me jump out of the slides for a minute. I am still sharing that desktop, so I'm going to stop sharing because we don't need that right now. And I'm going to get my camera set up. Give me one moment. And if I pick the right camera here. Oh. All right. Shelby, can you confirm that you can see the pile of instruments?
I can, yes. You're
Excellent.
doing well.
And we're recording, and so far everything's going well. Okay.
Oh, you just jinxed it. Ah,
What's wrong?
you just jinxed it.
What happened?
You just said it's going well. So you know what happens then?
Oh, haha, you're funny. All right. So let me clear out some space here. We're going to use the Spectro. Oh, that should be plenty charged. I think my phone's probably charged enough now too. Yeah. I gotta turn the brightness down on my phone a little bit. I figured that out earlier. And I'll go into color. Okay, so yeah, we're not gonna use that guy. We'll get it out of the way for now. The mini out of the way. Oh, that does give you a size comparison though. So there's the mini. Let me get this. So if I did Nick's toolkit, okay, no, normally you would not have a list. Let me turn the brightness. Yeah, that's better. I can barely see it, which is, man, maybe one notch.
Maybe a little brighter. That's better, I think. Yeah, that's better.
I still can't see it, but anyway, so what I'm looking for is a spectral L. There it is in the middle of the screen. Normally you would not have this many instruments on yours. I'm going to turn the brightness just a tiny bit. Hard to find the right balance. All right. So this is the Nix Toolkit software. It's, it's nothing spectacular, but it's kind of cool. And when I don't know why it's doing that, but what I like to do is just show some of the basic features. So there's a feature called match, and you could match against paints. Paints are all built in automatically, or if you're like me, I went ahead. Oh, it's not finding my custom. Oh, not custom. Sorry, purchased. So I purchased the Pantone guide through Nix. It's $99 a year because I want to be able to do demos like this. So if I had a customer sample like 3M, I could go over here and I could measure their brand standard and see if it's close to a Pantone color, because maybe in my workflow it would be easier to just tell the people in my shop what you're trying to do. You're trying to match Pantone 2035. And so, and right now we're actually in the M2 measurement condition. And I think I have to stay in that measurement condition because that's the version of the library that Nix would have licensed. And you can see down here at the bottom, that gives me a delta E of 1.75. Also, if I'm looking for the actual LAB values, I can find those right up here. So that's kind of cool because it has the Pantone library available. It's not built in. It has the Pantone library available in the Nix toolkit, which is not something some of the other software you're going to see has as readily available. You have to obtain your Pantone libraries in other ways legally, hopefully. The other thing that you can do is what they call quality control. So in quality control, here's an example actually. I'm going to create a new quality control session. And I'm going to do a new session with a new reference. I'm going to scan that reference. So let's say this 3M red is my reference. So I would just say scan. Just going to save that. All right, so that's now saved. And then I have this 3M folder. So I can stick this in here. And I'm not going to be, this isn't perfect. The sample's actually not quite big enough, but it's okay for the demonstration we're doing. So I could measure that. And it's going to tell me, oh, that's way off. And so I don't want to enter notes about it. I just want to see how far off it is. It's even further off than I thought it would be. So I'm not sure if I just try that again. Shouldn't have been quite that far off. There we go. That's more like what I expected. I think it was wiggling. So that's about what I would expect it to be off. It's off by all 5 delta E. And how, which direction is it? It's actually this yellow, the one in yellow up here. So it's shifting, it's kind of going a little bit yellow orange, right? So it tells me, potentially what I can do to correct it. And it's also down here, it's too dark, right? Because it's the yellow point right here. So it's too dark. So it's too dark and it's a little bit too yellow. And so if I was on an offset press or a gravure press or a flexo press, those are things I could adjust. In a digital environment, I'm going to have to probably make changes to the file or potentially build a new profile for my device, or whatever it might be. I might have to go in and manage my spot colors in my RIP software, right? And so those are the kinds of things that you can do with the Nix toolkit. This is going to, we're not doing in-depth demonstrations of anything today. This is going to all be quick hits. And so that's all I've got to show you for the Nix toolkit. Let's see. All right, so I saw a question there, which I think Shelby will probably address. I'm going to stop sharing my screen temporarily. Wait.
I'm answering it now.
Pardon me?
I'm answering it right now.
I am going to try and stop sharing if I can get my. Oh, I love when I lose my controls. Where are my controls? Not letting me stop sharing. That's fun. Bear with me. It's always something. All right. Not let me stop sharing. I lost all my meeting controls. Huh. I have lost all my controls for the meeting. I don't know where they are. All right, let's see if I can find them. Wow. Strangest thing I've ever had happen.
What are you trying to do?
Stop sharing. It won't let me.
Oh,
Oh,
weird.
I'm not sharing. It's a camera. Okay, now I know what's going on. There we
Okay.
go. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop my video because what I want to do now is bring back. I actually do want to share. Share here. All right. So the next application we want to talk about, so I don't lose track here, is the Nix Print Pro software. So the Nix Print Pro software is quite a bit more advanced option than what we were going to show you, what we were showing you with Nix Toolkit. Let me just make sure I get my instrument disconnected from Nix Toolkit, because if I don't do that, we're going to have a problem. All right, so that's disconnected. All right, so it's a much more advanced piece of software. It's got databases, there's servers you can connect to, it's got quality control applications built in, spot color control, specification conformance, whatever you need, it's probably in this particular application. All right, so let me get out of that. Now this time I am going to actually continue sharing my desktop. All right, so Shelby, am I still sharing? Are you? Oh, that's not what I wanted to do though.
I'm,
Now do you see Nix Print Pro?
yes.
Okay. So the first thing you have to do is connect a device. So I'm gonna have it search. There's my Spectral L. This is kind of cool too, because I can actually name the instruments, which is nice. So now I actually know it's the correct instrument. So it's connecting to it. Now this particular app will run on your Mac or PC. So it's kind of nice in that way. I have it set up right now. I think I'm connecting. Yeah, I'm connecting to a color server. And so that just means I'm going to have access to a color library. Again, this is quick hits. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but right now it's not set up to measure anything. There's a couple things I could do. I could set it up to measure a predefined color bar, like our SpeckCheck color bar. You saw this color bar earlier on the camera, right? So if you look at this bar, it's just a series of patches that I defined, and then I tell it over here that I want it to compare that to CRPC6, which is Grackle, using delta E2000, the M1 illuminant, and D52 degree, right? So if I come back over here, and let's just, I'll measure this real quick. It doesn't take very long. All right. All right, that's measured. I think it's measured. Hopefully it's measured. Oh, you know what? I think I moved it while it was measuring. Do that again. There we go. Now I could have it automatically advance, but for reasons you'll see later and when I'm doing spot colors, I'm physically clicking down and having it measure the next. Takes a little longer, but that way I know I'm measuring exactly what I want to measure. I think the thing you're probably already noticing is as I take measurements, I get a whole lot more information than I was probably getting in something like Toolkit, right? I'm getting an actual spectral reflectance curve. I'm getting a very quick measure of conformance to the CRPC data set in both the AB space and the L space, right? So, you know, it's basically telling me I'm doing okay. Everything's green. I got all green here, which is good. And so now I'm measuring a process control chart right now, but think about if these were spot color patches instead, right? You're getting all of that same information immediately as you take the measurement. And I am going to show you the difference in spot colors in a minute. Make sure I don't mess up here. A lot to keep track of. All right, this is this quarter tone over here. So for those of you who may have used our SpeckCheck app, this is a much more advanced way to do something similar on an actual computer sitting next to your piece of equipment. It's nice because oops, that's not, oh yeah, that's right. It's nice because the instrument is operating over Bluetooth. Some of the early versions of software that we had for Macs and PCs required you to tether the instrument. And so you've still got the advantage of this could be running on, say, your RIP computer 6 or 7 feet away from your flatbed press. And you could be over at your flatbed press as long as you're within Bluetooth range. And you could be taking your measurements there and just watching the screen. And again, I said you can put this in an automatic mode, so it just measures the next patch, and you wouldn't have to do some of the things some of the clicking around I'm doing right now. And when you're done, so we did fail something. I don't know what failed. Maybe the paper. One of our gray measurements was just slightly out, and that's possible. This is an old print that has been out in the light for too long. So you do have all kinds of places that you can drill down. Like if I click on, nope, I don't want to clear measurement yet. All kinds of places that you can drill down. If you click on any of these, this is actually telling you that if you are on an offset press, if you increased your density, it would potentially improve the result, right? So even though you're green, it's saying that you could get a little bit closer. And I'm trying to remember, there's one more. I have to click. That's not it. I don't use this app all that much, so is it here? No, it's not there. It might be here. It's not here. One of these. There it is. So what this will show you is that, you know, in theory, if I decreased my density just a little bit, actually, now this is showing me go up, but that's right, because L is going down. Yep. So if I increased my density just a little bit, I could get slightly better color. Well, and again, it's slightly better. And this isn't the one that's actually failing now. It's failing on the overall. So that's how you can use this for, here's the patch detection, by the way. I knew it was close by. You can add metadata. It's again, there's just so much here. It gets almost beyond conceivable. I can save that. That way, if I go into history, I can say search the history, and you can see there's 6 measurements in my history. They don't all have, see, some of these just had solids, and some have the whole control strip. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into our library, right? So this is where I could have a library of my own colors, which I could create. And then remember, there was also a server. If I go back over to measure, I clear everything out. Should clear. I want to clear. Oh, sorry, remove. Yep. Oh, sorry. All right. So let's say I just wanted to use this as a spot color tool. Then I would have to go back in and say add to color bar. And let's say I want to do it from my print server and I list my libraries. This is an older version of the Pantone library, which was obtained legally. I want to make sure that's perfectly clear. It's the version 4 library. And if let's just say we want to do 45 red. All right. Add that my color. So let's say that's all I want to do is I just want to do something that evaluates 485 red and nothing more than that. I want to keep this really, really simple. Then I would go over to click to measure. Oh, sorry. I want to close my color bar definition. I would click. Yep. All right. So we're going to measure this 485. So I'm just going to measure that 3M sample I had just because it's red. I mean, that's good enough for what we're trying to show you. All right. So it's no good, right? It's it wanted it to be less than or equal to 3 delta E. And it is, where's my overall DE? Why am I not seeing it? Maybe it wants a substrate piece too. Like I said, this particular app I don't use all the time, and I'm still learning it a little bit. So there's no correction guidance. Oh, because I didn't give it process primaries. That's why. Okay. Yep. If you're in digital, a lot of times that's the way we do things. We're not gonna give it the process primaries. We just need to know. Oh, there's the overall delta E. So it's 4 delta E. So it's actually not horribly far out, but it is out. And so if we're looking for correction information, we're gonna have to figure it out ourselves. And in this particular case, unlike the previous one, it's going away from gray, center, and in relation to red, it's going a little bit cyan. So in our case, if we could pull cyan out of the digital image, if we have access to that, we can probably get a little bit closer to red. And because our lightness and darkness isn't so bad. Hopefully that's making sense to people. Anyway, that's Nix Print Pro. Again. Actually, stop sharing quite yet. Actually, yeah. I'm gonna disconnect my Nix. I have learned that Nixes don't like to be connected to 2 things at one time. All right. That's our Nix Print Pro. So the next thing I want to show you is SpeckCheck, which can do 4-color process verification. If you attended the first webinar we did in the 4th quarter, we showed that. So we're not going to show that again today. But what we are going to show, get the camera going again. What we're going to show instead is some spot color work with SpeckCheck. So here's SpeckCheck. Same deal. We have to tell it which instrument we're using. We're using our Spectral L. It's connected now. So verification is very similar to what I just showed you in Nix Print Pro. Library is also somewhat similar. Let me go in and pick. I also have a Pantone version 4 library obtained legally. Which if everyone really wonders how to do that, I can tell you offline. You can't do it anymore, unfortunately. It was in a previous version of software. They let you export it if you had a valid license, which used to be attached to your Pantone books if you bought them. All right, so I'm just going to click on that little mixed shape device and take a measurement. So in this particular case, I happen to have something called 3M red already in my database, and it's telling me that what I just measured compared to 3M red is 0.68 delta E away. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Again, if I was just trying to find the closest Pantone match, then I could go here and see that it's Pantone 2035. and it's 1.6 delta E away from that. So let's say that I just want to use that in my RIP software. If I click on this little button down here and I select a printer profile, what it's telling me is that if I use this CMYK build down here with that printer profile I just selected, I should get pretty close to this particular Pantone color, the 20, whatever it was, 2035. So as long as you know how to get your Pantone, I'm sorry, your printer profiles into SpeckCheck, which is really not that hard. You just export them from your RIP, I put them on my iCloud, and then the way I get them in is down here. When I clicked on convert to ICC, if I click on the plus sign, it's going to open up my files directories, and yeah, that's basically how I do it. So there we go. So again, it's a mobile application, so we've tried to keep it really simple. And I mean, that's pretty much the gist of what it does. I think there's this 3D view, which is going to do best 10%. So basically what it's doing is it's showing me the best 10% of colors in relation to the color I just measured. So there's a whole bunch of choices, right? And that's just plotting all those Pantones in a three-dimensional space. I'm going to show you probably a better way to do that in a couple seconds. All right. So that's another tool that you could use to do your spot color control. I'm going to show you, I'm just going to jump into seeing color here real quickly. I'm just going to disconnect my instrument. Open seeing color. Hopefully my license is still good. He's still supporting it. All right. So seeing color. All right. So here's seeing color. This is how it looks when we open it. And I think if I click on Mix, this is going to let me connect. Yep. So I should be able to connect my spec. Oh, it's not going to see my Spectro L because he hasn't updated it to that. So it's seeing a Mini 2 though. Let's see if we can use our Mini 2 for this. I think it's connected. I think it's charged. Huh. Maybe. Okay. The high wire act. So again, I can click it over here. Click on my NICs. See if it scans. Did it plot something? Oh yeah, it did. Look at that. I don't know if you guys can see that. It plotted right over there. Zoom back out a little bit. There. Hopefully you can see that, right? You guys see that? Maybe I should go a little bit brighter. Oh, it went all the way down again. There. Yeah, wow, that's much better. Okay. All right, so there's that. And then the thing I can do is I can create layers. If I can remember how, layers. And so I can say add an ICC profile. And if I'm just curious how that conforms, if that particular color is inside of the CRPC6 or swap space, now I can see that it's actually not. See, it's just slightly outside. You guys see that? I did it. So you can see right on your phone that color is just outside of the CRPC6 or swap 2013 color space, which is kind of cool. The other thing I can do is I can, like, a little darker, I can import a CXF, maybe, if I can find it. This might take, yeah, this is going to take me too long. I could import the entire Pantone library and have it plot, just like you saw in SpeckCheck. It could plot, well, I can show you what it looks like. Hold on. Share screen. Oh, I'm already sharing, right? No, I'm not. So share my screen. There. That's what it would look like with timing. So it can you can basically plot one or many points against an ICC profile. You can plot two ICC profiles against each other. I guess the one caveat is, again, this isn't our software, is he has not updated to support the Spectral L, so it would only work with a Mini or the Mini 2 for the Spectro 2. That's the only two it's going to work with right now. What else were we going to talk about? Oh, Shelby, this is where you jump back in. So, we've got some upcoming training live in person. Confident Color is going to be in New Jersey. Oh, we should have updated this.
Yeah, those are old.
Those are
That's
old.
okay. Yeah, we've already done those. It's going to be in Mamaki's Rockaway, New Jersey location on July 9th.
You can find it, and I'm going to go to our website in a minute, so you'll be able to find it there. The Idea Alliance, I'm sorry, the Printing United Alliance iLearning Plus platform, you can find sessions that both Shelby and I have either helped create or are part of. So those are, and there's ones that we aren't part of that are also great learning resources. I'm going to be doing a G7 expert training class online in July. And then we do a podcast every now and then. It's supposed to be every 2 weeks, but I'm going with every now and then for right now. And also these webinars. So I think what we're going to do here. Yeah, I'm just going to jump out to colorcasters.com and then we can come back and entertain questions. Yeah, let's do that. So let me stop sharing for a minute and get a clean browser running. Stop video. Need that. And I should have a clean browser over here. Yep. And that. All right, let me share again here. Share here. All right, so on our website, we talked about training opportunities. Here's the Confident Color workshops. This is going to take you to any Confident Color workshops we have coming up. And at the moment, there is one. And so this is the one Shelby just mentioned. It's right here on July 9th in Rockaway, New Jersey. As far as the G7 class, is that on our events page, I bet? No, in Shelby, that's where it's going to be. There it is right there. There's the G7 Expert Professional Live. So there'd be information to get to it there. As far as buying Nixes, we've tried to make that easy as well. We have an entire page just for Nixes, right? So right now we have the Mini 2, the Spectro 2, the L. This just takes you to an informational page. And I guess we put our webinar here too. We also can sell you the Nix Print Pro software, and we are working on getting that set up online. It's kind of a complex licensing, not complex, it's just complex to fit into our online store. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We can definitely help you acquire that and a Nix if you need it. Keep in mind that if you want SpeckCheck and you already own an instrument, or you're going to buy one somewhere else, that's fine too. It is $99, but if you're looking for it in the App Store, just search SpeckCheck Mobile, just like it shows right here, and it will be the first app that pops up. If you buy an instrument from us, we include it at no additional cost. So, anything else I should show while we're here? Oh, if you're looking for the recording of the video, it's going to end up here on the Jim and Shelby Show. All things. No, it's not. It's going to
No,
end
it
on
shows up under
training.
training. Yeah.
It's going to open training opportunities, but you have to actually go down to
Yeah, there you go.
virtual training.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see here's the one from March. And then I mentioned the one where we did a little more discussion about SpeckCheck on the verification side. You can find that here. Right.
Jim, do you have one of the questions I see that just popped up? You talk to the developer more than I do. Do you have any plans to have a SpeckCheck available to import a custom? He calls it a step wedge, but you know what I mean.
No, there's no plans for that. That if that's the kind of thing you want to do, you'd be looking at the Nix Print Pro software. That's what that's for. SpeckCheck is meant to be very simple, very easy to use because it is on an iPhone platform. We don't want to let it become we don't want to let it become a big monster. It becomes a lot harder to manage it at that point. Yep. Good question, though.
I think I've answered all the other questions in there.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through them too. Yep. It looks like you have. All right. Do we have any other questions? Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up and get it processed and post it for you guys. I can find the button to stop recording. There it is.
There's a question. Can we enter a custom ICC profile? I'm not sure what software they're talking about, though.
I believe in every piece of software we showed, with the exception of Nick's toolkit, yes. Yeah, and you can definitely import ICCs into SpeckCheck, Scene Color, and I'm almost positive you can add them into Nick's Print Pro.
I think you can too. How to use it for a sheet fed machine?
Well, that's an interesting question. So one of the things I didn't really talk about too much is that it's just the standard aperture size on most Nix devices is very large. So for a sheet fed piece of equipment, this is not great. But the Spectro 2, only the Spectro 2, comes with a 2 mm aperture. And to use the 2 mm aperture, you use this device, right? And so what you can then do is you use this to position, and then you basically set the device in, and it makes sure that it's got the right distance. I have actually used, when I do G7 qualifications, when I want to do a quick check press side, I use this setup with our spec check to see if I'm in G7. Well, and it is just a quick check because I'm only measuring 25, 50, 75. It's not, I wouldn't be able to submit, but it's a quick check before we grab a sheet and do a full evaluation of that sheet, so we can give the pressman some direction. So if you're in a traditional print environment, you really have to think about the Spectro 2 and probably the 2 mm aperture, unless you can print something big like the SpeckCheck target I was showing, which typically you can't easily do. Hopefully that answers that question. Can you check that? I mean, no, you really can't check dot gain because there's no software that currently reports dot gain. I believe the Print Pro software might report dot gain. I'd have to do a little research for you. I think Nix Print Pro will report dot gain. Oh, so it's Print Pro can do. Yep. Okay, so someone obviously has Print Pro already. So yeah, I'm still learning a little bit about Print Pro. The other thing is the vast majority of my business is in wide and grand format digital print, so inkjet. But I do some G7 work in traditional, so I'm getting to learn Print Pro more because of that. All right.
Great tool. Very cool.
All right. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end the recording at this point.